All right, welcome everybody to this episode of Real Estate Strategies with Remax Hallmark. Today I am joined by our Director of Training and Career Development, Mr. Kory Gorgani. And Kory, are you ready to jam pack or to condense 1.5 hours of learning into 20 minutes?
Well, let's see.
We're going to find out.
Yeah,
And so
we're going to
everybody,
find out.
we're going to find
Absolutely.
out. And hopefully this episode publishes just before the holidays because 2026 is right around the corner. Kory was the expert mastermind coach, teacher, mentor behind what we call the power planning. And all throughout Remax Hallmark, over the past couple of weeks, we did a fantastic training session to get our realtors prepared for 2026. And you watching this or listening to this, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. You're going to learn this in 15 to 20 minutes. So, Kory, what was the premise behind your power planning sessions that you did throughout all of Hallmark?
Right. Great question. This year, we wanted to do something different, and I believe we are the first brokerage that's doing this. We shifted away from annualized thinking, a traditional old school business plan. It's still great. Hey, if you've done it, if you've got a business plan that's, 20, 30 pages and you've gone through your marketing, your expenses and everything, that's fantastic. But majority of agents, what we have found is they spend hours on doing this extensive business plan, sometimes in November or early December, and then they put it away. And their thinking is, hey, I'll get to it maybe in February after the holidays. February comes around and they say, hey, it's still February. So maybe I'll get to it in April. April becomes June. June becomes, hey, summer. And then maybe I'll start in September. And before you know it, it's the year end. So this year we said, hey, let's do something totally different. So we created a simple, actionable framework based on the book Atomic Habits, okay, that really goes into the 5 pillars of progress: clarity, focus, strategy, consistency, and accountability. Very simple, one page for blueprint for the year, and then another page that's done every week, which is your weekly plan of action. And that was the premises. Hey, let's get agents into productivity. Let's get agents away from annualized thinking, bring them into cycles and creating weekly plan of action that gets them productive.
And it's a fantastic book, which simplifies a lot of the models of performance and partly accountability as well. And Kory, it's a great idea because our previous business plans, while they've been great, they're very extensive, multi-pages long, several hours to take the classes, and it focuses on a lot of details that easily get forgotten when realtors really just need a map. So speaking about map and direction for 2026, you came up with this acronym GPS. And in the 1.5 hours of the class that you've delivered, I think what we can extract in this 15 to 20 minutes is what GPS stands for and what each of these elements mean. So, Kory, why don't you start with what GPS stands for, and then let's take it through each of these acronyms, and perhaps realtors watching this and listening to this will have a takeaway.
Sure. The GPS stands for goals, priorities, and strategies, or I should say goals, priorities, and strategies, because the less number of goals you have per year, the better. And we say less is more, and this comes straight from Atomic Habits. It's the foundation of focus. Right at the top is your goal. The goal gives you direction, and for most agents, what is their goal? Making money, number of transactions, GCI. Then is priorities. Priorities show you what matters most in your business. Priorities are the lifeline of your business. And then strategies. Strategies give you the action. It's a group, a cluster of action that create movement. So that's goal, priorities, and strategies. And I say one goal, 3 priorities. An agent, a productive full-time agent, is to have a goal for the year, is to have 3 priorities that on a daily basis, these priorities are executed. And then you have a series of strategies, let's say no more than 5 strategies for each priority. And then from your GPS, you create a weekly plan of action. And we've given the blueprint, the table that outlines all of these to our agents.
All right, and we'll see if Kory is willing to reveal it to everybody here, if we are able to link it. If not, reach out to Kory directly, Kory@remaxhallmark.com. Of course, he loves reaching out to realtors who want to connect. So, Kory, this is great, and it simplifies the framework of what realtors should be doing in order for them to remain productive. It removes the question, like it removes that vague thinking of creating this massive business plan, but rather focuses on these three items. And yet, some realtors may still encounter challenges in the year ahead. So what would you say is what makes these challenges happen for realtors during their daily course of business, despite having a GPS, despite having a business plan, despite having a roadmap ahead of them? What do you think would still bog them down, and how should they address these challenges?
Okay, Stephen Pressfield in his book, The Art of War, says most of us live two lives. The life that we're living in now and the unlived life. We know our agents are capable of so much more. Now, those that are doing great, fantastic, keep on doing what you're doing. Those that need a little bit of direction, this is perfect for them. And what I see the challenge is that agents, although they have a business plan, they lack focus. Okay, they lack focus. The day starts, hey, what do I do today? They are reactive to the day. And that is not how you run your business. As the CEO of your business, you need to treat your business as a business. When you get into the office, it's not spending an hour by the coffee machine and then going from office to office and chatting with the other agents. Hey, mornings are for generating business. Afternoons are for servicing business. So how do we get into generating business? So you have your GPS. From the GPS, you have your plan of action. And the plan of action says on a Monday, you're doing action item A and B. Very simple. So there's no time management here. We are not going to say you're going to do action item 1 at 10 a.m. No, it's 2 action items that must be done. They're non-negotiable. You wrote them down. It's ownership of it. So when you get to the office, you've got 2 things to do, and we get to work. You know exactly what you have to do. And then the rest of the day are buffer blocks, whatever that comes your way. So would you like me to go into what the strategies and how we execute the weekly plan of action?
Sure, give an example. And I think it's fair to say too that distractions happen because it's the, what do you call it? The path of least resistance is what typically we take, right? Well, I mean, in generally human beings, they want what's easy for them. And I think when you go to, when an agent goes to the office, they see their friends at the coffee machine or at the water cooler. And what's the easiest thing to do? Oh, you know what? Let me leave my desk. Let me chit chat a bit about what happened during the holidays and all this and that. And I think it's easy to go down that rabbit hole. And before you know it, that momentum becomes what dictates your day, because then you're going on your phone and you're browsing social media, checking out what other realtors are doing on their socials. And then that whole thing happens. So why don't you take us through that framework, Kory, so that agents that are with us here can instill that discipline and sort of start the year off right with the proper momentum.
Right. Now, there's nothing wrong with chit-chatting and spending a bit of time with your colleagues. It's just that if you don't run your day, the day will run you. You get done your socializing, you get to your desk, and then there's emails. When you're answering emails, you're really doing somebody else's agenda. You're not running your own agenda. You're answering somebody else or the social media. And before you know it, time flies so quickly. It's noon, you're hungry, it's lunchtime, then you another coffee here and there, and the day is gone by. We get to the office, we need to be productive. Okay, we need to generate income. We need to generate leads. So an agent sits and writes their GPS, and they have one clear goal. Let's say they want to do X number of transactions and earn X amount of dollars. That's their goal. Now, what are their main priorities? What are the priorities that drive the goal, drives the business forward? For example, in a typical agent they must attract new leads. They must find new clients. Okay. They must convert those leads into transactions, and at the same time they must retain their clients and earn referrals from them. So finding a new client, converting that client, and retaining existing clients and earning referrals are the 3 main priorities, and we may call them as lead generation, lead conversion, and client retention. Those are the priorities. Then what you do is you say, hey, if my priority 1 is attracting new leads, what are the strategies? So you write it all down. One strategy could be prospecting. It's a repeatable system of calls, door knocking, reaching out, and so on. Another strategy could be social content. Another strategy could be geofarming. Another strategy could be open houses. Another could be networking, could be paid ads, could be so many things that attract new leads. Now you have your strategies. Write 5 of them down. Now, come Monday morning. On a Monday morning, you have your GPS, you have your goal, you have your priorities, you have your strategies for each priority. It's one page. At the top is the goal, then the 3 priorities, then the strategies for each priority. It's on your wall, it's on your desk. Monday morning, very simple. From the strategies, you create one, preferably 2 action items, smart action items, specific, measurable, relevant, time-bound. You create smart action items for the day. So, for example, you say on a Monday morning, I'm going to spend an hour outreaching to 10 clients, 10 past clients, or I'm going to create on a Monday afternoon, I'm going to do a single topic email to my database. Those are 2 actions. And you put it, so the action item and the day, not the hour, the day. Then on a Tuesday, then another 1 or 2 action items on a Tuesday, another 1 or 2 action items on a Wednesday, and so on. So 1 to 2 action items, which I call power actions per day, that's derived from your strategies. Now, here's another thing that I ask our agents. Once a week, not twice, not 3 times, once a week, create a 3-hour block that you focus on an income producing activity. And I call it a power block. So 3 hours a week, non-negotiable, uninterrupted, no email, no phone. You simply get to work. It's an income producing activity. For example, go and door knock 50 homes, deliver 50 letters, have 10 conversations, add whoever that you've talked to your CRM. That'll be 3 hours. So now that's on a Monday morning. On a Monday morning, you create what I call a blueprint for a beautiful week, a productive week. Now, come second week. Second week, you review the previous week. Do you need to dial it up or do you need to dial it down? Did you take on too much or can you take on another action item? So we are not waiting for 12 months to review the work. We are reviewing it on a weekly basis. And remember, this weekly basis fits into one cycle. And that cycle could be 10 to 12 weeks. So there's 2 levels of review, preview, or accountability here. On a weekly basis, you're reviewing the past week performance and you're setting, you're either dialing it up or dialing it down for next week. And then at the end of each cycle, you review the entire 2 months or 3 month cycle and where that got you. Make sense?
Yeah, it's real-time adjustments based on the
Real-time
activities
adjustment.
that you're doing, and it absolutely makes sense. Focusing on the income-producing activity, 3 hours, and wouldn't it feel great, realtors, that on a Monday morning you get your 3 hours in, and it's like a workout. You're done, and you're feeling pumped, and you're ready to go. And that actually, the interesting part about this, Kory, is that the more momentum you create out of this, and the more productive you are, even though yes, it is tough to get that thing going, you actually feel good about it, just like working out. And like your workout this morning, the more you get into it, the more you feel like, hey, this is actually energizing me as opposed to getting me tired. And I think a lot of realtors, that because they're not following a path that is clearly defined based on action, based on activity and results, that's what's actually tiring them. So realtors that have felt like they've been tired the whole day and they wondered what they did, well, you probably didn't do anything, because that's sort of how you get into that state of mind, versus you feel that you've accomplished everything that day, you've done everything, and you actually feel good about it, and you're excited about the next day.
Now, there is a third part to the weekly plan of action that we didn't discuss. The weekly plan of action, the anatomy of it is the daily power action. And the daily power actions is just a task, an activity, an action item that drives your business forward. For example, making calls or writing that email or doing that CMA. And then the power block is 3 hours of it per week. That's more focused, more intense. So the daily power action, the weekly power block, and then there's the weekly score. And the weekly score is It's another level of accountability where if you wrote down 10 action items for this week, and at the end of the week, you only did 6 of them. That's 6 divided by 10, multiplied by 100, that's 60%. That's no bueno. That's not good. We want to get to 90% completion. And since there really isn't a 90%, you need to do all of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, now this is particularly useful for teams. Okay, number one complaint from some team leaders is, hey, how do I get the team become more proactive? How do I hold them more accountable? Well, you don't hold them accountable. You need to hold them capable. And how do you do that? By having this weekly accountability meeting, which I call WAM, weekly accountability meeting, on a Monday morning. Put the plan up and ask them to write their GPS. Then every week, meet with the team and say, hey, let's come up with our weekly plan of action. They write it down. We don't dictate. The team leader doesn't dictate. They write down exactly what it is that they're going to be doing on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. And then the week after, we come back all together and we review the previous week. What was our score? How did we do? Did we get to 100% completion? If not, why? What got in the way?
Yeah, and then because of that, there's a continuous feedback loop, and you're able to literally use a GPS. Like if you drive off course, your GPS is going to tell you to get back on track.
Exactly.
So same thing with here. And I guess that was the idea, Kory. So thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, 1.5 hours compacted into it's almost 20 minutes. So Kory, what's your final advice for realtors to be successful in 2026? Despite there's a lot of markets out there that seem to be in a challenging situation. It's definitely different times that we're experiencing now versus when things were quote unquote easier for realtors and they things were flying off the shelf. So for realtors in 2026, final advice for them, Kory, before
I'm going
we
to take a phrase from the book Atomic Habits, because this entire power plan is derived from the Atomic Habits. And it says, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You always, 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 always fall to the level of your systems. Okay. And a system is not a blueprint to send a rocket to the moon. A system is just a checklist in this case that holds you capable of it narrows the gap between the two lives. So create systems for whatever it is that you're doing. Build more relationships. Create systems for your lead generation. Create systems for lead conversion. Create systems for client retention. Create systems for your listing process, your buyer process, and follow it to the T. Market really doesn't dictate our business. Our actions do. And let's get into action using the power plan.
Perfect advice to end off the year. So thank you so much, Kory, for that. And thank you everybody for watching and listening. Make sure you follow, subscribe, like, comment, wherever you're watching this. Interact with us here at Remax Hallmark. Kory at remaxhallmark.com. That's Kory at remaxhallmark.com. Get some time in with Kory if you want a consultation or if you want some advice in terms of how your business is doing. And thank you, everybody, for continuing to support real estate strategies with Remax Hallmark. Thank you.
Thank you.